Hello ladies, welcome back to Neurospicy Noelle. I'm Noelle, a certified life coach, but now focusing on menopause neurodivergent coaching, helping women navigate their menopausal journey and sharing my personal journey and what I uncover through research to help you find relief much faster than I did. Welcome to my 3-year update. This is part 2. So picking up where we left off in 2023, not only did I make a spiritual or religious shift, changing everything that was my foundation. After being in there nearly 40 years, I also left Houston where I had been for nearly 30 years. The last relationship I was in was a very abusive situation and I was running. That was the theme of my life, running. Let's don't face anything, let's just run and don't deal with it. And when I say abusive, I mean it was physical and it was verbally horrible. When I first moved here, I was scared of everything. Every little tick or sound would make me jump out of my sleep. And sleep wasn't even something I was familiar with anymore. I had adrenaline surging through my body in broad daylight when absolutely nothing was happening. I could just be sitting there watching TV, and it was like somebody jumped out from behind the couch scaring me because my body was stuck on alert. At one point, I remember my back door wouldn't lock and I called the police because I was so terrified that the abuser would come find me, was going to come in my home and cause some harm. I look back now and he was a chicken shit and I was paranoid. That was not a good combination, and I was in menopause, so everything was heightened. What I didn't understand at the time was why my brain and body were reacting that way. I didn't understand how severe the symptoms of complex post-traumatic stress disorder could be in combination with neurodivergent diagnosis and menopause. And nobody was really treating that piece of it because this wasn't one traumatic. I was carrying layers upon layers of abuse from different periods of my life, including what I experienced growing up inside of the organized religion, the abuse at the hands of my stepfather, and more. And then later, I'm gonna collect some more abuse as an adult. It's just life, I guess. I was carrying layers of abuse from different periods of my life, including what I experienced growing up inside that organized religion, the abuse at the hands of my stepfather, and then more abuse later in adulthood. Sometimes we just get extra doses of it. There was a lifetime sitting underneath what looked from the outside like anxiety, stress, insomnia, or just me being overly reactive. My nervous system didn't know the danger was over, and my body was still living like something terrible could happen at any second. That was no way to live. What I didn't understand then was that I had spent my entire life surviving things without actually having any coping skills to process any of it. So what did I do? I pushed it way down. I had kept it at a functioning level. I had kept working, and I had just kept moving through life one step at a time, moving forward. Not really happy, not really content, until my brain and body finally said, enough is enough. The best way I can describe what happened to my brain during this period is that it fractured. I felt like 8 parts of my brain just split. All the information that used to cross-reference and collaborate with one another just went poof. It was like I had all these filing cabinets in my brain, but suddenly somebody came in and locked them all and they weren't sharing information anymore. And that terrified me. It's terrifying when you spend your whole career relying on your brain. I have spent decades building this brain that could take hundreds upon hundreds of data points. I could multitask, I could filter them, cross-reference them, recognize the patterns, and make connections. It was wonderful, so I thought. And then suddenly, I couldn't do it anymore. It would not happen, it wouldn't come to me. I freaked out. I got very scared. So I started going through various doctors trying to figure out what the hell was going on with me. I went to my general practitioner and got a full blood panel, which sent me down so many endless rabbit holes to different specialists. We went symptom by symptom, specialist by specialist. I must have went to 6 different doctors. Basically, you have this diagnosis. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, you have this one. No, you don't. And basically, I got worked up for nothing. They were missing the mind and body connection. At that time, there wasn't some big new diagnosis that explained what was happening. I was in menopause, in the clutches of it, right smack dab in the middle of it. I mean, it showed up and just bam, knocked down the door. Ooh, just you're here, knocked me off my feet, made me walk in circles, almost burnt my house down because I would forget I was cooking. If you're going through it, let me tell you, menopause does not announce itself to everybody. It takes over your body, your mind, and your life. And then it can cause havoc in your work, your relationships, your ability to take care of yourself, and even your ability to keep yourself safe because you're not focused like you used to be. Like me, almost burnt my house down. And if you're a neurotypical woman, meaning you don't have ADHD or autism or anything like that, there was a clinical study that came out, and I'll probably show it in a later video, that some neurotypical women can have some ADHD symptoms. So you'll be walking into the neurodivergent woman's shoe for a little bit, but fortunately for you, you get to leave it. Unfortunately for us, our brain stays with us. We still have the neurodivergency, even when the menopausal symptoms or your hormones become depleted. So we have a lot of shit on a normal day. You add menopause to a neurodivergent brain. And then I found in one of my earlier videos, I shared more than 70 symptoms associated with the menopausal transition so far. And I'm still counting. So feel free to add some down there. Let's see how big we can get this list going. Because research suggests the neurodivergent woman can experience a significantly greater symptom burden during menopause. So honey, if you're wondering why you're not functioning like you used to, there's actually a reason. I didn't know that. I went berserk. I didn't understand what was happening to me. And I was so mad at Mother Nature because I was just getting on a roll with my new job. I spent decades developing the ability to filter hundreds of data points. So in my career, I started realizing that I wasn't able to filter those hundreds upon hundreds of data points or make the connections between them. And when my brain finally decided to shut down for safety and survival, I knew in my position any risk to an organization would not be good for my career or the organization. I knew I'd reached a point where I needed to stop and I needed to seriously focus on my mental health and my physical health. And so that's what I did. I went on short-term disability. Of course, you're on that, I believe, 16, 20 weeks. I forgot. And then you go on long-term. I exhausted that. I got denied for long-term. I went and appealed and appealed and appealed and appealed. And 27 weeks later, they verbally denied me. And you want to hear something funny? This is probably like 9, 12 months later. They just sent me another letter a month ago just reminding me that they have denied my claim. No shit, Sherlock. But it forced me to go back to work, and I was really, really nervous because my brain was still not connecting as fast as it wanted it to be. And I finally just said, I've got to have faith in myself.